Hello and welcome to the Blue Shadow Podcast. My name is Joey,
My name is Dan.
and today we are bringing you our discussion of Andor Season 2, Arc 2. That's episodes 4 through 6. And, we have said before when we do like full on scene by scene breakdowns, it takes way too long. So, in this, we're going to try and hit the major points of the arc, like the major subcomponents of the arc, talk about some things and some ideas that resonated with us, and, let you know our thoughts overall. So, Dan, what did you think of Arc 2?
I really enjoyed Arc 2, and one thing I want to touch on that I don't think we touched on for Arc 1
Okay.
is the timing. This is set in 3 BBY.
Hmm.
Arc 1 was set in 4 BBY, and you can imagine that they're going to continue progressing with that 1 year time jump between arcs.
Until we get to Rogue One.
Yes,
I'm kind of sad. It's almost like we're halfway done already.
I know, but it doesn't feel, I don't know. I don't know.
These
It's
are.
going to
th-
feel
th-
short.
I was very disappointed with the announcement of the Arc batch releasing,
hmm
but I'm enjoying having like essentially a movie every week, which is kind of
And
cool.
they're doing it in such a way where it makes sense.
Yes, and I
It's
don't know
not
that we
like,
would be happy with just one of these episodes.
right, because I find myself wanting to binge them. I can't.
Yes,
I don't have the physical resources to binge them, but I've really enjoyed it so far.
me too. And I do think the point, and again, this is not a criticism, more of an observation of what they're intentionally doing, is this slows it down a little bit from last week because we had a pretty high octane
hmm
introduction to season two, and I think here the whole point of this is highlighting the friction that's happening amongst the early rebellion, like the budding rebellion,
Right.
and I think
It's
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and to that point, we can really see that with the Gorman rebels and how there's a way that Luthen wants this to be done, and how
Luthen's the cornerstone here.
he is. And then we're kind of seeing, I. How do you feel about Mothma? Sorry, I feel like we're jumping all over.
We are a
I, I
little
feel,
bit, but it's okay.
I feel like she hasn't been in regards to Luthen and knowing what we know about her. Felt like we could have. I expected more from Mothma this arc.
I see. I think this is the fever, like her starting to really come to terms with the fact that the Senate is useless. She
Correct.
can't do anything in the Senate, and I think we needed this moment for her to realize that she's powerless in the Senate, so she has to do something else. So,
Yes.
and I feel the same way about Cassian, about you know, basically anyone who's kind of not doing the Saw Luthen route. This episode is frustrating for them
hmm
because the whole point is they need to be methodical. They need to think about it. They need to make sure that these risks they're putting forward are worth it. And that's just not the case with the way that Luthen wants to act. So this is kind of showing you the downfalls of Luthen's mindset. And I kind of want to roll that in. We kind of last time sprinkled our theme discussions in, and I kind of wanted to start this off with we've talked about Andor season one wasn't always my favorite. And part of it was because it felt like the morals of Star Wars were missing. And I think that's because Luthen was driving the car. I
hmm
think now we're starting to see everyone around Luthen kind of push back a little bit. And you're starting to see Cassian, um, maybe a little bit of Vel towards the end, and Mon Mothma,
hmm
like really pushing that away, starting to move away from that, at least their mindsets. And
hmm
that to me is starting to build to the hope connection. It all this runs all throughout all of Star Wars, whether it's Rebels with, forming that alliance, or Rose in The Last Jedi saying not fighting what we hate, but saving what we love. Like
hmm
we're getting there. And this is very, excuse me, satisfying for me because I wasn't super hot at first on the way the first season went, but seeing this all together, it really starts to pull it into the larger thematic Star Wars story.
Yeah, and we're finally seeing, like you said, that pushback. And one character you didn't mention was Jung, right? Is that his name? The ISB mole,
Lonnie Young, I think it's,
Young, Jung.
is it Jay?
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
Is it? I think it's Young. Anyway, we got another
Yeah,
elevator scene.
yes, you are correct.
we got another elevator scene, which was so impactful from season one, where Luthen gives his famous speech of what he's giving up for the rebellion. And there's almost setting it up that you'd get another one. And young Jung goes, because Luthen starts by, "You're late, like we haven't talked in 3 months." And he's like, "You need to wait. You taught me that patience is important and you need some.
Mhm.
You'll get it when I give it to you." And he played a little impactful role in this arc, a
I
lot more than I thought
enjoyed
he would.
Lonnie. I like that these characters that were kind of in the background in season one are coming to the foreground. Like
Mhm.
Dedra's assistant, I forget his name, but the one who spent a lot of time with Lonnie.
Little Tarkin clone.
It's so funny, like because he's so easily manipulated by Lonnie, which
And
is kind of
and
awesome.
he's so enthusiastic too.
Uh-huh. What did Partagaz say? Calibrate your enthusiasm. It's just an assignment or something. It's just pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, let's we kind of hit on that theme, hit on this idea. Let's start going through the arcs. Who do you want to start with?
Let's get your least favorite one out of the way first.
Which one's
Saw
that?
Gerrera.
Oh my God, yeah. Because my least favorite arc, but where do we find them? A straight up
Favorite
sequel
place.
reference. Not my
Mm-hmm.
favorite place, but a straight up sequel reference with the car. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I'm so excited to see sequel planets starting to get integrated into just, they're there. It's part of it. And it just makes me very happy. Very, very, as a sequel fan, very happy.
And it's nice too to show kind of tie that back in the resistance to the rebellion.
Hmm.
This it's we're going to the same places.
And that's kind of that's the struggle. It's like the First Order and the Rebellion, or the First Order and the Resistance are literally just the Empire and the Rebellion in a
Hmm.
different skin. And I think that's
And
so
it,
cool to see.
and it makes sense that these planets were not found the first time.
Hmm.
Would make sense that they're not going to be found again.
Yeah, I
But
love
what
it.
what did you think of that whole of because we got the impression that Saw was going to kill Luthen's engineer the entire time.
Hmm.
How did you feel when Saw kind of finds the traitor, in
Hmm.
quotes, traitor, um, and turns the engineer to his own, what's the word, ideology?
I, it's just we normally see Seesaw.
Uh,
We normally see Saw Gerrera try to turn our main characters and fail because they and we know he's wrong. It was very interesting for me to see Will kind of fall fall for it almost. It seems like at the end he's team Saw now.
yeah,
So
I'd say he is.
it was frustrating. I mean, he like and normally he kind of is like convincing everyone that he's not crazy, that he's right, he's not crazy. But here
Hmm.
I think he's like, I'm crazy
Yeah.
and you are too. It was weird and I
Hmm.
didn't really like it. The the con the gas is his sister was weird because we know about Steela from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did not care for
It
him.
was a little much,
It was.
but
Now,
it's
go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love the ambiguity that we don't know whether the other engineer was actually Imperial or not.
Because he pulled something out. What that is, we don't know.
And I don't think it really mattered.
Yeah.
I don't think if there was evidence it would have mattered.
Hmm.
Like because I don't think he trusted Wellman because he came from Luthen, but I think he trusted this guy less. So boom,
Yeah.
there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it was weird. I think it just again highlights the error in his ways. Like these Luthen and Saw are not fighting with much foresight. They're not
Hmm.
fighting with they're not fighting for anyone or any like they think they're damned. So
Yeah. If I
it,
get caught, what happens? I'm doomed to die anyway.
yes, and I think the issue with this and why we are going to end up finding that Mon and clearly we're seeing here Cassian are correct is that it's not about that like these people need to have a choice. They need to have their own free will to make these risks and sacrifices and
Hmm.
being pawns of these crazy old people is not the way to go.
Right.
So yeah, the Saw arc was weird, or the Saw story was weird, and I didn't love it, but you know,
Well, let's use that to transition to probably the meatiest arc.
okay.
There's a couple sub arcs tied into this one, and that's just Gorman as a whole.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. The set design. Holy crap.
Yes, Star Wars is very direct about mimicking realistic populations
Mhm.
and different groups, and this was very clearly supposed to mimic the French Resistance of World War II.
Nerd.
Well, yeah, but
It's true though. Like it's all French. And then did you see that someone they brought in like a French language expert who actually created the language that they were saying that's like rooted in French, but it's not French.
hmm
It's so cool.
yeah, up to rival Klingon and Dothraki.
Are you gonna learn it?
No,
Um,
unless it's on Duolingo.
maybe for May 4th. I don't know. I like that they're positioning Gorman because we know from Rebels how important Gorman is to
hmm
Mon, and everything. But I like that they're kind of positioning Gorman like the Ferrix of season one. Like that's going to be the boiling point
hmm
is the events that happen on Ferrix.
And especially because we know how Gorman ends up.
Well, and what's cool
Much,
is go ahead, go ahead.
I was much keeping with the theme of Andor to Rogue One. There's
Hmm.
a defined ending for Gorman, so we as the watcher know that something is going to happen. That what they're doing, and what this ends up leading to.
Well, how about them casually dropping that there was already a Gorman massacre,
Yes.
and that's the we talked about it last week. It's like from some sort of role playing game from the early 2000s
hmm
with Tarkin landing his Star Destroyer on people.
Yeah.
So like the fact that like you get to see that and hear someone's perspective who was there was nuts.
hmm
So yeah, I thought the Gorman arc was crazy. I really liked not arc, the story. I
Yeah.
loved the Cyril spy stuff.
What? Yeah. So we got a whole new serial backstory. When we first got that meeting with the FaceTime with Edie, how did you react when she said you threw away your standards job on Coruscant? You threw away the one person who actually liked you, referring to Dedra.
Oh, I 100%. I'm a sucker for good guys and
hmm
Agent Callus type characters. So I was totally like, "Oh my God, Cyril's going to be a good guy." And then I was like,
hmm
no, "You idiot. There's no way Cyril would be a good guy."
Yeah.
He like is like aroused by the praise from the Imperials.
Right? Like he even said, "This is the best day of my life."
So weird.
So yeah, Cyril the spy working for the ISB. I'm assuming him and Dedra are still together.
Yeah, yeah. You could kind of tell from the weird turn the lights off moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're together in whatever fashion that messed up relationship functions on.
Yeah.
Weird.
But Cyril the spy,
And I love that he's a spy, but he's still not really in the loop.
no.
Like he doesn't really know the impact that his work is having
No, and it's kind of funny though how just important he became to the ISB from season one.
without even knowing.
Yep.
It's kind of fun.
hmm
So that's kind of all for Cyril. I think Ray that I had to say.
Yeah.
You want to do Cassian next?
Yes. So we have a lot. Cassian's kind of all over in this arc.
Hmm.
Him and Bix, I'm assuming, if not officially married, living as a married couple who seem to be.
Wow, you jumped to me. I just assumed they were kind of together.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they got married to keep the part, so they can say, "Oh, this is like, for example, using their aliases."
I don't know. My head never jumped to marriage, but I maybe
Well, they say it quite a bit.
they did.
This is my husband. This is my wife.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I guess I
They
thought they
saw.
were just like lying.
Well, that's just it. Are they? We don't know.
Regardless, they're
That
certainly romantically involved,
yes,
which is nice to see. I'm sad we didn't get to see it happen, but I feel like you
we kind of
kind of knew.
they alluded to it in Arc One
Hmm.
and only went up from there.
And I seeing Vic still struggling was so sad.
Yeah, we saw Death Sticks.
And like her infusing her memories with the
hmm
like her torture memories with like what they're currently doing and getting
Yeah.
upset with Cassian wanting to be protective. It just again, I think this is all the cost of being in the rebellion, but also the cost of Luthen's manipulation.
Right.
We can kind of jump maybe to the end of that sort of idea with Bix, like Luthen coming to inspect her and see what she's
Hmm.
doing, see if she's going to give her a job. But then at the end, what did you think of? And again, we're again jumping to the end of the episode, but we'll get to Cassian and Gorman later. What do you think about Bix being sent by Luthen to kill Dr. Gorst?
Oh, it was great.
See,
It was a much needed win
I don't know though. I
for
don't.
Bix.
It's like when you're hungry and you have a candy bar. I feel like that's not going to solve the problem. It's going to
But I
mask
think,
the problem.
but for Bix specifically, she knows he can't hurt her anymore, which I think is good, or at least she believes that. Tear said masking the problem.
It's someone needs to finish The Last of Us 2 is all I have to say.
And it's also kind of interesting to talk about. In season one, we saw a lot of the way Cassian ended up was by a series of decisions.
Hmm.
Luthen, Cassian, and Bix kill Gorman. Do we think they knew about the ISB's plans?
Gorst, you mean?
Yeah, of course, excuse me.
Um, yeah, obviously, because Alani.
Mm,
I don't think that. I don't think if it weren't for Bix that Luthen would have done this. But I still think that this is like sacrificing a part of Bix's soul to
mhm.
like. I don't think this is actually helping her. Is my perspective on it.
Well, I guess we'll find out next week.
Like I think she's gonna feel better at first, but
Mm,
then I think that killing him isn't gonna do anything to solve the trauma that she experienced.
right.
So that's my perspective on it. I don't you might be right, but I think this is, you know, more Luthen manipulation to make her think she's feeling better and to make her useful than,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, because this is all connected back to that idea of Luthen, like Cassian said, we'll come back to that. Want to talk about Varian Sky?
Go right ahead.
Cassian gets to don a nice fashion outfit to
And,
go and meet up with the Gorman resistance.
and inspect them per Luthen
Hmm.
to see are they worth their weight.
And this is where we get that crux. And I do want to say
Hmm.
one thing about like the Gorman set again. That cafe, oh my God, I want to go there. Like that where
Coming,
they had like the Star Wars espresso machines.
mhm. Coming to Galaxy's Edge near you.
Ah, I would go in a heartbeat and probably spend way too much money.
Oh, it's okay. Disney dollars don't count.
Tell that to the bank account. But no, they don't, and I'm okay with that. Just like calories.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that I think this gets to the core of the episode is like Luthen uh, sent Cassian to make an appraisal, kind of,
Hmm.
and he's rejecting what Cassian said, basically.
Yeah.
What do you think about like who do you think is right in this situation where obviously we have Cassian saying they're unorganized, they're not ready for this, everyone knows it's an armory, this isn't going to prove anything, versus Luthen saying any fight is good fight, blah 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 blah. What do you think?
I agree with Cassian here. Cassian, as somebody who has seen the inner workings of the Empire, he knows that this is not going to do anything. It's only going to result in people getting killed.
Hmm.
And we get to see that cat and mouse game between Cassian and Dedra. Dedra knows. It's almost like Luthen is not prepared for Dedra, where Cassian is.
Hmm.
Where Luthen's like, we need this. The Empire, we need to show that the Empire is vulnerable. And the Empire's like, please steal from us.
Uh-huh.
And Cassian's like, bad idea. It's gonna end poorly. It's not worth the risk, which we'll see in a second.
Hmm.
Not worth the risk, not worth the time, not worth the money. Don't do it.
And this kind of connects to my like thoughts on like something the show does so well is showing that like we know Cassian's right here,
Hmm.
but to like he's righter than he could possibly imagine because of Dedra. Like
Hmm.
he doesn't even know that, but he's just following his like compassion and intuition.
Hmm.
And I think one of the things that we see here as well, even while he's not telling them information that they want to hear, telling them they're not ready and all that, Cassian is skilled at making connections with people.
Hmm.
Whether he, is pretending or not, I think it is a skill that he has. And I think it's showing what the rebellion can be at its best.
And I think he also genuinely cared about them.
Yes.
Even that's why he said, "You're not ready. Don't do it. This is not going to go well."
Hmm.
And everybody told him no. And we know what happens to Gorman. We know from arc 1 that the Empire needs the Gorman rebels to mess up.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see. And will that be the breaking point between Luthen and Cassian?
You gotta feel like it's coming.
It's going to be the "I told you so." Like, this is your fault.
Hmm. If he even makes it alive, if Luthen makes it out to have the conversation.
Was it just me, or did Luthen appear much older in this arc?
Yes. I don't know if it was visibly or like, but his mannerism. I wanna touch on that when we get to the kind of the Coruscant arc, the
Got you.
or storyline.
So do we want to finish up Gorman?
Yes, I think we're good on Cassian. That brings us to Vel and Cinta,
No.
you know, who are sent. Do you, Vel and Cinta end up getting sent by Luthen, basically saying Cassian's wrong. Get
Yeah.
in there and do it. Now he probably didn't tell them. He talked to Cassian. He probably said, "This is what
Hmm.
we got. Go get in there." What did you think about, do you think Vel and Cinta had seen each other?
No.
I don't either.
They may have mentioned that.
I don't think they explicitly said when the last time they saw each other was. You can tell it's been a while. But Cinta said something about an injury. You think she got injured offing Tay?
I think she became a hitman.
Oh, definitely. I mean, clearly, it's the last
And
thing
I
we
and
saw her
I
doing.
think Tay was the last time they saw each other.
Yeah, that would make sense. Do you think she got hurt pretending to be Tay's driver?
I don't. I think he was so drunk.
Eh,
Now, unless she crashed the car
which is possible.
to to do it.
I don't know. But yeah, anyway, we kind of get this reunion, which is very nice because we
Hmm.
never really got to see them actually like that they're a couple, but they talked about how they like, the cause first. So getting
Yeah.
to see them, have a moment as a couple, I thought was really nice. Hang
What did
on.
you think? What did you think of their plan?
I thought it was a stupid plan.
Yeah, right.
It was such a and I mean, that's the point. Like, you know how I would complain about stuff in season one, and you're like, that's the point.
Hmm.
I'm clearly on the that's the point train because it's like this was such a futile thing for no reason. Hang on, I want to finish talking about Valence into real quick as their personal. I think they're once again finding this friction with Luthen's ideas that
Hmm.
like we'll talk about the end result, but just together, like they're realizing that they should not have let Luthen keep them apart.
Right.
Another pushback on his ideas.
And that's just it. Luthen is at the center of all of this, and he was just had his little fingers in everything. And
Uh-huh.
people are finally realizing that maybe he might be the issue this time.
Because he wants everyone isolated so that they can feel like they can just do whatever he says.
He makes them desperate.
Uh-huh.
He gives the impression and forces them to think, well, I have no other options. I have to lean on Luthen.
Hmm.
And this meeting between Val and Cinta's like, no, we don't have to. We could have been together this whole time.
Hmm. So anyway, sorry to cut you off about the terrible plan.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was a terrible plan. And then they didn't even want to listen to Valencinta, who made a terrible plan better.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
What
know. I felt very frustrated watching this.
right? And the whole time I was like kind of like you mentioned, like, what's the point? Like, what's the end goal? Because to Cassian's point, you're a silly criminal because you're going to admit that you did it when he was, I forget the guy's name.
The
The old
fabric
guy.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when they were talking, Cassian said the most important part of any heist is getting away cleanly.
Hmm.
But you don't want to do that. You want to get away and then come right back to show everybody something they already know.
And they emphasize multiple times that everyone knows this.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
Hmm.
And what's sillier, I think, the heist is kind of successful.
Of
Um,
course, it's successful. It was supposed to be successful.
the Because we have Cyril infiltrating and knowing and
Hmm.
watching on the roof, you know, it's all a ruse, obviously, but
Also, though, make a dumb plan dumber. You take the Imperial that you don't trust and put him on lookout duty by himself. Like you don't have somebody attached at his hip.
yeah, bad plan. So, well, how do you feel about? I guess we can kind of get to this air quotes here, carefully laid plan falling apart because that old lady was wandering in, so one of the rebels left and took her home, which led another character who brought a blaster, even though he wasn't supposed to the mission, which led to, after a little confrontation with someone who, from the meeting, did not like the Empire, led to
Hmm.
Cinta getting killed.
What? I was so confused by that. Why would they? It's almost like they would want him to see it.
Yes,
Like,
I think this is showing the inexperience and how not ready they were. And again, frustrating because it's like Brasso's death felt unceremonious in Arc One. This felt not only unceremonious but also like pointless, and that's what they're going for here.
hmm,
I was so sad. I had a feeling something was going to happen when they let them embrace finally.
yeah,
So that's that. What did you think about that? And then Vel ripping into the guy in the transport was kind of nice.
it was kind of nice. The you're gonna have to live with this, not me.
Hmm. She's everything that you dream of being.
And it's like the don't cry. You did it. You have to own it now.
Uh-huh.
But
It sucks,
it
but
does suck.
I think it does kind of put Vel in the spot where she's gonna question Luthen.
Right. And talking about this plan and their foils, Dedra and Cyril and it's Pendergrass, whatever his name is, Party
Partagas.
Partygaz, watching, being so happy.
Oh my God, I know. It's like there's two sides to every like
You,
war and battle scene, but to watch them be so giddy.
I almost found myself rooting for them. Like this is such a stupid plan. I hope
I,
the Empire catches you.
yes, and they, we've talked about this in season one, how likable they make Dedra, even though she is awful.
Yeah,
She is full on space fascist,
yeah,
and you kind of can't help but root for her, and you kind of don't think that this ambush and heist should even happen.
right. It's like you get the this is what you get. You were
Uh-huh.
told this was a bad idea and you did it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of bad ideas, want to talk about Luthen, Skolden, Mon, and Krennic?
Oh yeah.
I,
First of all, before we jump into the meat, I must say costume design
oh
for
my
this scene
goodness.
was incredible.
Mothma's little necklace thing was
Also, I have another question for you.
okay.
Do we know Luthen's origin?
No.
I think I might have an idea.
Okay.
I think he's Chandrillan
Hmm.
because it was very in the wedding scene. They always put those chains on. That was very important. You kind of know the ones I'm talking about, like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
go
yeah.
across. He was wearing them,
Oh, this is an interesting idea.
and that's why I think he has all these connections.
I'm seeing the pictures of the chains. I don't know. That's kind of fun. Huh. And his fancy outfits do kind of mesh a little bit with Mon and parents.
Yeah,
So that's certainly an interesting idea. And whether that's explored in the show or not, I certainly would be interested in
but
following
it
that.
but it can make sense how he knows Vel
Hmm.
and how he knew he could recruit Vel.
Yeah. Maybe how he made his connection with Mon. Who knows? But yeah, I transitioning now into the I want to start talking about how Clea and him are. kind of at each other's throats again a year
Hmm.
after we last saw it. He's saying he's struggling to keep track. We saw that the Empire is struggling to keep track of it. There's just too much happening on all sides. No one knows
Hmm.
really what's going on anymore.
Yeah, it spiraled into this dumpster fire.
And because there's no alliance, he's just trying to keep it all in his head.
Hmm.
I, and I think it leads to sloppy things happening, like the
The
listening
listening
device
to.
being put in, where it sounds like Clea did not think that we would really get anything useful out of it. So why would we do it?
Hmm.
Frustrating, certainly.
I think this arc also showed that Clay is more involved than I think she was initially given credit for.
Yes.
She is running the show just as much as Luthen is.
Hmm.
Or if not, he's one, she's 1A.
And it seemed like more of a partnership here than
Yes.
like she's his assistant.
Right.
And I think maybe that's the intention of it coming off like that with the whole shop thing where she's like the shopkeeper's assistant. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I still don't love Clea, but she's
I liked
kind
her
of cool.
more.
I did like her more. I guess that kind of takes us. We can leave them. We got to get to that party. Watching Mon and the Senate see that it's this shell of what it should be.
Hmm.
These it's like self-serving, praising the Empire. The senators are just throwing parties for parties' sake. Like watching
Yeah.
her feel like her power is being stripped away was frustrating, admittedly. This whole episode, I feel like the theme is frustration.
Yes, it is. And we got our first cameo, true cameo
Who was that?
of Bail Organa,
Oh yeah,
who was
that
recast.
yeah. What do you think of that?
They said it was scheduling conflicts.
I
I
would rather the
also
character be there than
I love Jimmy Smits. I
me too.
do, but he's also just getting older.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I would rather the character be there. I would rather it not be CGI nonsense.
Hmm.
At this point, characters have been recast so many times. It's totally okay.
Hmm.
I think it's totally fine.
I think so too.
I'm not
And I
super
think,
familiar with the Benjamin Bratt, I think is his name, but he'll be good.
yeah. And Tony Gilroy said that he's going to be playing a major role, so he needed a soft introduction, and that's why we got him in this
Hmm.
arc.
So we're used to it.
Yeah. So it's not just a here's this new guy
Hmm.
making instrumental decisions in our plot.
Yeah. And then how about on the way to this party, Perrin being like, I don't know how I can fake being genuine. Rare Perrin insight that he doesn't even realize how relevant it is.
Yeah.
I have to say, Perrin is less immediately dislikable.
I agree. He's he has like this small semblance of like common sense to him.
Yes, and I did like the Joy speech. Some people have perceived it as like he's just complacent with the Empire, but I do think there's actual valuable life lessons in that speech from the wedding last arc. And
Hmm.
I think maybe you're seeing maybe he's shutting off the part of his brain that isn't finding joy to maybe the galaxy's detriment. But still.
But also, and I feel like parents kind of just like my wife's a senator. I have to put on a brave face.
Hmm.
And then she's like, "Well, you're so chummy with the Empire." He's like, "I gotta be, man. It's odd that you aren't."
It's true. So now I think we can kind of there's some other stuff that happens at the party. Watching the Imperials drink and chat was kind of fun, but
I love their little dress uniforms.
I know it's pretty. They're making a Krennic action figure with that on it
That
with
was
like
so
band.
sick.
So speaking of Krennic, we're now up in this scene where Clea and Lonnie are kind of off, pretending to flirt. They're trying to get the listening device out, and Mothma and Krennic are essentially s verbally sparring with one another about history.
Mothma drops the coldest line so far. It's so nice to see you and it's so nice to talk to you when you're not on the witness stand.
And I love the implication that they know each other very well from
Hmm.
her questioning him.
Yeah,
It was Krennic. Ben Mendelsohn is doing such a great job with Krennic.
he is. And I watched a little interview with him talking about Krennic. And he kind of mentioned how this is still Krennic finding his way in the
Hmm.
galaxy as a director. So they're asking about how he's playing. He said, I had to make him a little bit more fruity.
I thought that that was an interesting direction, but you can see it coming through. He just seems like he's having so much fun. Like
He's like,
not
I'm
both the actor and the character. The character just seems like he's reveling in making Mothma's skin crawl.
yeah. I mean, and he is, ISB. He's he knows how to do it.
He's good.
He is good,
He's good at being bad.
and I think that's kind of we've seen that. He has connections to the Emperor.
Hmm.
He's he's the new kid on the block, and he knows it.
Yet casually drops. I spoke to the. I think this was last arc, but I spoke to the Emperor.
He said it. He's name
Did
dropped
he?
the Emperor a couple times. I mean, not Palpatine, but said the
He wants you
Emperor.
to know. He wants you to know how close he is with the Emperor.
Right, and they all know how influential he is at this point.
So yeah, so that was awesome. But then, what did you think of as they're making their way around this gallery?
It got
The
tense.
it did get tense with her like hand bleeding and everything.
Yeah, and it was so fitting for the person who didn't think it was necessary the first time to be the one who has to get it out.
Uh-huh.
And
And
then,
I
of course, it doesn't work.
I didn't think it was gonna. I thought they were gonna get caught.
I was amazed that she got out of there. And she managed to cover up her hand in just a perfect way.
And I think she even used her other hand to like gesture so it didn't look like she was hiding something.
Hmm.
I I have to say, seeing how deeply that was hidden, and I don't know what appraisal is like in the Star Wars galaxy. Like there's a chance that might not have been caught.
I disagree. I think them being having the front of the antique store owners, they know how deep it would be, therefore they both knew it would get caught.
And that's
Because
possible,
it
but they
didn't seem
needed
like
to like you wouldn't think that there was an unscrewy little thing on an ancient object.
unless because it plays sound, if that was like an organ pipe,
Could be.
if it didn't sound right, first place you
Or
would check.
it's Star Wars and they push it through a scanner
Yeah.
and it would show up.
I,
But
Luthen and Clea both were pretty confident that that would get found.
mm. So yeah, we get that taken out. We see them mention an admittedly funny line. We should have killed Krennic.
That was so good. And I think it also just reinforces their relationship of, well, they have disagreements. They're on the same team. They want the same thing.
But isn't it funny that Luthen's allowed to have a buddy, but no one else is?
I don't think they're buddies. I think Luthen and Clea are more associates than buddies.
But you know what I mean. Everyone's
Like,
supposed to be isolated except for him. Why is he allowed to have because he's in charge is the answer.
mhm. Or he
I
could even be he has two personalities. His Clea interactions is still Luthen Rail, the antiques dealer.
I think he's a hypocrite.
He is a hypocrite, and I think that's we're going to see his demise as his hypocrisy fall in on him.
It's true. All right. So we kind of got our way through, you know, we got our way through the episode. We hit our themes. Is there anything else you want to add as we go into the next arc, arc 3?
I think we're going to finally see if we're going to see some more of our known players, I think we're going to see them in episode 3
Yes. I
or
bet
arc
you we're
3.
going to see K2SO.
I will go a step further. I think we'll see a dark side force user.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that.
Did you? One of the trailer scenes is Dedra getting force choked.
It could just be her having a panic attack.
Hmm.
I don't think we're going to see Darth Vader.
I was talking about Palpatine.
Oh, he's dead. They're not putting Palpatine in this.
I. Why do you say that?
I think the show is not about that. It's about the everyday players. And to then pull
But
Palpatine into it, I
but
just
that's
don't
just it. The show is about how these everyday players. With season one, the everyday players of the Empire. Season two is they are close now.
I just don't think we're seeing the Emperor.
I think we will hear his voice.
Maybe on a holo. I just don't I do not think the Emperor is going to force choke Dedra.
That might be a bit of a stretch, but I do think we see.
I don't think that that's what this show is about. I think it would undercut the way they've built these characters up to then be like without really any fanfare for references to be like, "Ooh, there he is."
But I think they would do it in such a way where, for example, if Dedra messes up, if she botches Gorman, this is the highest of priorities for the Empire right now. If she botches Gorman, she's going to have to report to somebody,
I
and
don't
it's
know.
going to be Krennic or higher.
I think we can agree to disagree on this one for now, but we'll see.
It's okay.
I'm just excited to see Cassian continue to become a main character in his own show,
I agree, and I think this is where we're going to really, like you said, start to push Luthen out. This will be Cassian, Mon, and Bail Organa
which is awesome.
with Saw Gerrera in the background doing whatever nonsense he's up to.
Or maybe we just don't see him again for the rest of this show.
Yeah, no, we can hope.
We're going to, but you know.
Agree to disagree.
Anyway, that's all for me. You got anything else?
Um, who's your favorite character so far? Not named Mon Mothma or Cassian?
His B2 email count.
No.
Okay. Krennic.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's so
It
deliciously
sucks
evil.
because they are making the Empire look so good and so competent.
Because they are competent, but we don't usually get to see that
That
side of it,
right.
the bureaucratic side of it that's so effective.
Yeah.
Anyway, Krennic love out of the side. That is our coverage of Andor season 2, arc 2. Again, that covering episodes 4, 5, and 6. We hope you enjoyed it. Is there anything that we didn't mention that you noticed or wanted to discuss? Please feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Please consider giving us a follow on Twitter or X at Blue Shadow Pod or on Instagram at Blue Shadow Podcast. And with that, I forgot the first part of that. Consider giving us a like, a review, subscription on YouTube or the podcast platform of your choice. And with that, we thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you think and have a good one. We'll see you next
Thanks.
time.
See you next time.